Hello everyone.
Oi, tudo bem? Hello.
What was that?
That was Portuguese.
Okay. Well, I'm here again with Danny Cho. He makes a lot of Brazilian content, so that's why he.
Spoke Portuguese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look at us finishing each other's sentences.
Professional.
We're like twins now. Anyway, today we decided we wanted to kind of talk about our cultures because we're both from obviously very different cultures. Have you been to Australia before?
I don't think so. When I was in my mother's.
That doesn't count.
Okay.
So
Then I've never been to Australia.
okay,
Yeah.
but you've been to America. I guess like we have some similarities with America, but we're not gonna be completely the same. Yeah, so for the most part, we're gonna really be comparing our cultures and some stuff that are very, I guess, unique about our cultures. What's really different, in a way. So I think the first thing that we thought about was gaming, because we're both gamers. How do people usually game in Korea?
We have a place called PC방, which is literally PC room. We usually go there to play because for the gamers, the place is like a heaven. You can just sit there and play game, and you can order foods there. Dude, like you can't even think about what kind of food you can order there. Like all the drinks and all the food, it's like better than restaurants. But it's like restaurants, but you can play games while you have foods.
That's
so
true.
we go there to play game with the friends because it's like it's better to play with friends and like near them. That's why we go there, and that's how we play games. I think most of people, most of Koreans do.
And I feel like in Korea it's not popular to get consoles. Like PlayStations, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Like those are not that popular here compared to PC. Although since the coronavirus, Nintendo Switches became really, really popular. Sold out everywhere.
Yeah, we can buy it. We can't. It's
Yeah, you have to like enter a lottery to buy a Nintendo Switch.
yeah, and too expensive.
Well, in Australia, we have like PC cafes, but they're really expensive and there's not many of them. Most of the time, we tend to either game in our own houses and we just get on voice call while we game, or we bring our laptop to our friend's house and then we game together like on a table, something like that. We call it LAN party.
Oh, LAN party sounds fun.
Yeah, it's really nerdy, but it's pretty fun.
Oh, I have a question. How
Yeah.
much is it to play in PC cafe in Australia?
The one that I remember going to last, it was around $3.60 per hour, almost $4.
Wow.
Yeah, here that's like almost 4 hours of PC cafe.
And do they have a good computer there?
They're good, but the ones here are better, like
Okay.
much better.
Oh, I see.
So I guess like we touched on it a little bit, the living spaces. In Australia, we tend to live in houses. I think apartments are seen as like a luxury. So usually if you I feel like renting an apartment is more expensive than renting a house in Australia. And we tend to sleep, even in our small houses are like bigger than apartments here. Like we have a lot more space, and we usually have like outdoor space, and yeah, everyone has rooms as well.
I'm kind of surprised you say like you think the apartment can be more luxury thing in Australia, because in Korea like apartment is normal thing, and the like individual personal landing place,
House.
house is like where the richest people can go and have. That's why Koreans perspective. In Korea, and when we just start working, we usually don't have much money, and because Korea is a small country, and like a lot of Koreans live in Seoul, like in the small city, so we all live in small place. But since we all we can't afford the apartment when we just start working, so there are places called one room and like offices where you can pay monthly and live there, and it's about like $400 each month.
Depends on where you live.
True, and depends on how good the place it is.
Yeah, one room is basically like a studio apartment. You don't have an actual bedroom. You just the whole place is just in one room. So they call it a one room. It's really confusing because when you want to have one bedroom and one room, like it's hard to differentiate sometimes. Like which one is
Then there is 1.5 room.
yeah,
1.5 room.
which is this place,
Uh-huh.
this Iltomo. But yeah, like one of the things like with Australian apartments, we still see even this kind of place is really like a luxury. Like living in the middle of the city, having an apartment or something. Like if this was a house, like this place right now, this would be super cheap because it's like tiny. But if I had this place in Australia, I'd be paying over $1,000 a month on this. Like I think that one of the cheapest studio apartments I've seen, smaller than this place that I'm living in right now, and it didn't even have a bedroom. That place was like 1,200 a month, and this is even bigger than that. So this place will probably be at least like 1,500 a month or something in Australia. But I pay like, I think less than half of that in Korea because this place is considered very small in Korea for like a single worker.
It's huge.
I mean, it's huge for one rooms, but it's small for like apartments.
That's true.
Yeah, like if I had a family, this is tiny. But for like a single person who's working, living alone, this is actually really, really nice.
Yeah. I envy you so much about this.
So in Australia, when we have our meals, most of the time we tend to cook at home, and we only go out for like special occasions, I feel. How about in Korea?
For the food, we can order foods in Korea, like at our house, and like everywhere you go, you can just order food there. Not everywhere, but like most of the places. So we even have apps called 배달의 민족, 배달통, or whatever.
요기요.
Yeah, 요기요. If you download those apps and choose a food you want to have, if you pay for it, and they will deliver those foods to you wherever you are at. Like,
yeah, but
most of the times.
I feel like also like even if you don't get delivery or something, people tend to eat out like almost every day in Korea.
Is it? I mean, like, it's really different by each person, in my perspective, because as when I live with my parents and when my mother doesn't work, my mother used to cook dinner for us, but since after my mother started working, we go out for dinner a lot. But before that, I think we cook at our house a lot.
I think it's different when you live with your family as well.
Oh, true.
But
yeah.
like people like me who just like live on their own, I feel like a lot of people just buy food. Especially food is like you can get it very quickly everywhere. Like the first floor of my apartment, there's like a kimbap place, a cafe, a convenience store. There's a Chinese restaurant downstairs. There's so many restaurants inside my building. Like I don't have to actually go outside to get food. But if I just walk across the street, there's like so many restaurants, and sometimes buying food is cheaper than cooking food because ingredients here are quite expensive. So
True.
yeah, sometimes it's really cheap. Like and especially if you have like very little money, you could just buy like kimbap, which is like good enough for one meal, and that costs like $2 or $3.
I have a curiosity. Like, as a Korean, it can be awkward to go a restaurant by myself and have dinner. But what do you think? Like, as an Australian?
I think in Australia, I feel like it's becoming more normal to go to restaurants by yourself. But I feel like it depends on the person. Some people feel very uncomfortable going by themselves, but some people don't mind it. Like I like it because I don't have to like worry about the other person. I can just order whatever I want, stay there for how long I want, and stuff like that.
True.
But that's also another thing that we're going to talk about is that in Australia, I guess in Western culture too, because when I traveled around Europe, like this is the same culture as well. We tend to, when we go to a restaurant, we stay there after we finish eating and we just talk for hours. And sometimes like when you're in the cafe or when you're in the restaurant, like after you finish eating your meal, you can get like coffee or other drinks and stuff at the restaurant. But it's pretty different in Korea.
In Korea, why we go to the dinner places is only because of the meal. And except when we have drink there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so in like gogichi place, like how do I say gogichi places?
Like meat restaurant?
Yeah, like meat restaurant.
Like cream,
kind of?
like barbecue
Oh,
restaurant.
like barbecue restaurants. We go there and drink soju or like mixture probably. And in that case, we stay there a long time. But except when we drink alcohol at a restaurant, we usually just finish our meal quick as possible and just go to a cafe with our friends, because as a Korean's perspective, restaurant is just a place to have a meal or a place to have a drink, like alcohol drinks, but it's not a place to talk for a long time. So we prefer to go to a cafe and talk for like long time if we want to talk for a long time.
I think one of the reasons for that is Korea is a really small country and there's a lot of people. So all the restaurants are really small here. And if you're in the restaurant for a long time, it means like other people have to wait outside to go to the restaurant, because there's almost like any good restaurant has a line in front of it. It's always like that in Korea. So because the restaurants are so small, like you really want to get in and get out quickly so then other people can come in. I know people aren't really thinking about that actually, but I think that's kind of like how the culture kind of happened. And then when you go to a cafe, like you can just stay there for a while. Usually I feel like cafes are usually bigger than restaurants here. They usually have like second or third floor, and yeah, and I think the other thing is the cafe has like an atmosphere, like a what do you call it? Like it has like this different atmosphere that's more comfortable for just hanging out and stuff. Like restaurant, I think I kind of picked it up while I've been here, but like if I sit in a restaurant for a while, I feel like I want to quickly get out. Like I don't want to stay. I just want to. If I finish my food and my friends are still eating, I feel weird not eating. It's like, but then when I yeah, like even if I go to a restaurant by myself, if I finish my food, I feel weird just staying in the restaurant. Like I have to quickly leave. But cafe has like this atmosphere that's very comfortable, especially like in Korea. They tend to make the interior design of the cafes really beautiful, and yeah, and it's just it makes it really like comfortable. Some of them are very like home-like as well.
Yeah, like I don't know, like that's just like culture stuff. We love to go. We think cafe is somewhere we can stay for a long time, like where we can study if we want, where we can like I don't know, watch a Netflix there probably. Or we can do anything there. But restaurant is a restaurant, like where we should go to have a meal, and it's a manner as he has said, like we have to leave the place for so next people can come in. That's like a manner, in my perspective.
I feel like there's also this oh I just lost my point. Oh yeah. I feel like Korean people have like this like focus on like 분위기, like what do you call that, like the atmosphere in places. Like a lot of Korean people, they feel like they can't study or read a book in their house. They need to go to a cafe to do that. They feel like they can't do it in their house. And sometimes when I go out with my Korean friends, we're looking for somewhere to like we're looking for somewhere to eat or somewhere to have a drink or somewhere to like just like a cafe. We'll find like somewhere and we'll go inside and they'll be like, oh no, I don't like the atmosphere here. And then they'll like, and we have to go find another place. And at first that was kind of like annoying for me, but now I kind of get it now. Like sometimes I'll go into a place, I'll be like, I saw the reviews on the internet and I really like the food, but I don't like the atmosphere, so I don't want to go there right now. Maybe another time I want this atmosphere, but not now.
Yeah, like there's so many different cafes here. As you said, there are some cafes where ajumas go often, where they talk a lot. So it's not a good place to study. And there are some cafes where the students go a lot. And when you go there, you will see tons of laptops like open and like people studying there. And that's a place to study and not for talking out loud. You will see this atmosphere if you go to cafes in Korea. And that's like the difference we have said.
It's weird how like you can walk into a cafe and immediately you can see what kind of people come here. It's so interesting.
I think it's cool.
Yeah. Another thing for me that's like super different, and actually when I leave Korea, I'm gonna have a hard time because of this. In Australia, everything closes really early. Like I think around 5:30, like 80% of things close. And then after 5:30, there's only a few cafes and restaurants. Like there's night restaurants, and then supermarkets are open until midnight. But except for that, everything is closed. So it's gonna be really hard for me because now I don't think about time usually these days. Like while I'm in Korea, usually just like if I'm hungry, it doesn't matter what time. I'll just go anywhere. Whatever I want, I just know it's gonna be open. But when I go back to Australia, everything is gonna be closed, I guess. And then we have this culture of like after you finish work or school or something, you just go home because everything's closed. So what do you do?
Seriously?
Yeah, I mean like sometimes you hang out with your friends, like, but most of the time like you'd like hang out with your friends or you go home and hang out with your friends at home.
Oh, that's cool. You don't have to use money.
Oh no, we use money.
You still use money. Oh.
Like we go to the supermarket, buy like
Oh.
buy some like food or drinks or something, and then bring it back to our house and then do it.
I see. But in Korea, like there are so many convenience stores like 24/7, and even the restaurants they open until like they close at around 10, I guess. I'm not sure. It's really different. But
10 is like the early restaurants.
yeah,
Like,
only restaurant.
the late restaurants are like after midnight.
Yeah. Yeah, I never thought about like there might be no place to go. It's like something I've never thought about.
Mm. Yeah, like if you walk outside,
Yeah.
if you live in the suburbs in Australia, after like when it's like 8, 9, 10 p.m., like if you walk outside, it's just dark, and there's like nothing.
How about when you go out to drink with friends?
No, your friends, you go to one friend's house and you bring the alcohol there.
If you want to go to pub, like,
Oh, I mean pubs will be open, but like there's not like I feel like there's not like pubs like everywhere. There's like maybe in like one suburb there'll be like 1 or 2 pubs.
oh,
But if you're in the city, like city center, there's like a lot of pubs. But except for that, like I think it's more popular to just go to like a friend's house and then like you just invite all the people to your house and then like either you provide the alcohol in your house or everyone will bring some. Yeah, like it's usually like that.
I think I would prefer your culture than like going to.
Yeah, honestly, I do too. it's a lot cheaper. I feel like
Yeah,
you're
true.
still drinking a lot, but
Uh-huh.
like actually I don't really drink anyway. But like you still like you get the supermarket prices instead of the
Yeah,
bar
true.
prices because bars they like double the price. So
Triple.
yeah,
sometimes.
double or triple.
Yeah.
So you can just like do it all yourself at home,
Yeah.
and I prefer that. And then also when you finish, like if you're at a bar and you drink too much, then you have to like walk back like a zombie.
True.
And then sometimes something could happen to you. But if you are like if you do it at your house, you just go sleep. And if it's not your house, usually you can just sleep in your friend's house.
True. I mean, like if you hold the party anyway, you can cook anything you want. So there's no problem. That culture might be suitable for you because you cook everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I feel like so there's like a good and bad side to this as well. But another reason why I do prefer the Australian side, because it does suck that like everything closes really early and there's nothing to do at night. But the good thing about this is it means all the people who are working in the restaurants and working in cafes and stuff, they go home at really early too. It's kind of the opposite in Korea. Like people work a lot here.
Yeah. So we usually have part-time workers in every cafe. So we have more jobs, I guess. More jobs open.
I don't know if it's job support. It's more like people who have a job, they have no choice. They have to work until like 12, 2 a.m.
True. There are many jobs like that. So it's up to the owners. I mean, like the owners have to stay there until it closes. So the owners are. If you want to open a cafe, don't come to Korea. It's gonna be tough. How about like cafes in Australia? Do they close at 6 too?
Some of them do. There's like some late night cafes, but I think late night cafes are like the franchise, like Starbucks and stuff.
Ah.
Usually like the good cafes are like the independent cafes. They usually close around like 5:30, 6, something like that.
When do they open them? Like
7?
before? Ah.
It's about the same as here
Ah.
because people need to get coffee on the way to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I don't know. It's like for me, I feel really bad for them because sometimes I go for like a really late night walk, like around like 11 or something. I walk and then when I go home, I get ready for bed immediately, and while I'm walking, I see people still working or closing up their stuff, and I'm like just about to go to bed, and they are like still at work. That stuff baffles me. I feel so bad for those people, but at the same time, like that's the way that they get their money.
I mean, when we think about it, the Australia cafe opens at 7 and closes at 5:30. It's 11 hours of work, right?
But you don't work though. That's 2 shifts.
That's 2 shifts, then 5 hours for each?
So I used to work in a cafe, and if I work the morning shift, it usually be 6 a.m. You have to start 1 hour before it opens, so then you can prepare the food for the customers. So I'd start at 6 a.m. and I'll finish at 11 or 12, and then the second shift starts like 11 or 12 until 5:30. So it's not that bad. And I think it's actually illegal to work more than 8 hours in Australia without like a proper, like.
Even office workers?
Oh, definitely. Like if you want to work overtime, I think there's a procedure about it. But in Korea, like if they want you to work overtime, like you have to do it.
Yeah, but it's like getting better.
Yeah.
You have to work 52 hours work thing.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Man, do Australians watch this?
I don't know. I hope so. Like
Yeah.
they maybe they'll have like different opinions. Like, no, you're wrong. That's not what's happening. But I haven't been in Australia for like 5 years, so maybe the culture's changed.
I was going to ask them to hire me in Australia.
Yeah. just go to Australia and just like find one to like hire you.
It's kind of hard to find a job. Yeah.
Well, speaking of jobs, actually this is something I do not understand at all in Korea. What happens when one of your friends gets a job here? Well, if you get a job, what should you do?
I should buy drink for my friends.
You should buy
to
like
celebrate.
everything for your friends, like the meal and everything. And every time I see it, it's like, and it's happened with me as well actually. Like they'll invite like all their friends, like 5 people, 10 people, like their big group of friends. They'll invite all of them, and then you have to pay for everyone.
I mean, we might think that way, but we actually don't. Yeah, because as a starter of as I started working, I'm pretty sure I don't have much money, and they know it.
Yeah.
And they might ask me to, oh man, you got the job, you gotta pay for this. So I might pay some, but I don't pay all.
That's why I'm always so confused. I'm just like, why do you have to pay for them when you haven't even got paid yet? You haven't started your job. It's so weird for me.
But like, if your friends ask you to do that, you don't have to. Like they are just saying it because I think it's their way of celebrating your promote or like getting a job thing. If
someone said that to me, I'll be like, no, you buy for me. I don't have money yet. Like, I'll buy it for you after I get money. Yeah, you sure? If you say that, I'm pretty sure they will buy for you. Yeah, I know, but then I feel bad. Really? I'm just saying it as a joke. Because I will feel happy about it. Well, it's the literal opposite in Australia. Like, if you get a job, then like to celebrate for you, people buy you. Like, but usually like they'll split the cost of the meal, but they'll just exclude you from the split, I guess. I don't know if that happens with everyone though. I just know that like in my group of friends, that's what we used to do. Like we'll celebrate for someone. If it's someone's birthday, we'll all like have our meal, whatever. But then when we split the money at the end, we'll just exclude that person, and then we'll pay it between us. That's smart. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure we don't do that. Yeah. We all pay like how to say? Separately. Yeah, separately. Yeah. But you should like to be nice for that one person. Oh yeah, so the next 2 things we kind of want to leave it to the end because it's like it's a bit harder to talk about, I guess. So first things is like weddings. Like tell us about Korean weddings. So Korean weddings, when a couple plan to get a marriage, they tell their friends first, they tell their family, and they set a wedding date. And when they set a wedding date, they invite their friends. And there are 2 ways to invite friends. First, through meeting them and giving them the 청첩장, which is the inviting card for the wedding. Invitation. And their second way, sending a invitation in a mobile
through Kakao.
I think every country does that.
But
That's
in
not
Korea, it's like it's 비매너, like not a good manner to go send it through the mobile.
Yeah, that's not different.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut this out.
Okay.
That's like literally every country.
Okay. Then, so you arrived at your friend's wedding. Now you have to give them 축의금, which is celebrating money.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, 축의금. You gotta give it to the person who owns the. There's a box where we put the 축의금 in there, so we gotta put in there, and it's about we pay about 50,000 won at least, which is $50.
Yeah, around that.
And if you are close with the person, about $100. And if you are really close, more than that. But usually I pay just $50. It's a lot, man.
Yeah, same.
So, so after that, we go inside. Then they will have a ceremony. The ceremony is going on, and it's really different by each wedding. What do they do during the ceremony? But after the ceremony, we usually take a picture, and that's a way of showing the friendship, I guess. Taking a picture together because you have to stay until this ceremony. Because usually, to be honest, I don't watch the ceremony until the end. I just go to a restaurant and have dinner.
Yeah.
I have the meal. Because usually it's on our ceremony and on our for the meal. And during the meal time, usually the couple who getting married, they walk around and say hi and thank you for coming. Oh, how have you been? You know, oh, good to see you again. Those kind of things. And we say,
And then you go
再见.
home. It's just 2 hours.
yeah, that's all. It can be much shorter than 2 hours too.
I prefer that so much. Like that's the kind of wedding I want to have. Just like get in, get out, done. Like I don't want to have like Western wedding. Like 'cause Western weddings, what we do is it's like an entire day. Like what you usually do is like I think the most common one is having a wedding in a church. But I guess like people who are not religious or have a different religion, they'll do it differently. But the most well-known kind of wedding is in a church. You will you go to the church and you'll have the ceremony with the couple, the bride and groom, and yeah, that takes like at least an hour, sometimes 2 hours just for the ceremony. And it's honestly it's really boring. I'm sorry for all the people getting married in those. It's really boring, and it's just like they should just get straight like that last like 20 minutes. They should do that at the beginning and then finish like. So after that, the bride and actually it really depends on it, but like sometimes like the bride and groom will just go out again after. Food's here. Yeah, so we got some curry today, different from our chicken.
Should we have 먹방?
I don't know, someday maybe we can.
Yeah.
Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so like after the ceremony, sometimes the bride and groom will go off and take pictures like in their wedding attire, and then they'll go get changed, and then like later in like so the ceremony can be like in the morning or early afternoon, but then in the evening we have the what do you call that, the function, the I forgot the name, the thing that you do in the evening where like it's kind of like you go to like a
Like drinking?
No. Like it's like how you guys have like your meal in like the big
Ah.
hall. Like we go to like a big hall, and then in there like they usually have like food, but it's not a buffet. Like in Korea it's like a buffet, but for us it's not a buffet. It's usually like a course meal. Like
That's fancy.
yeah, it's usually expensive. It's very expensive. You pay for everyone, and each table will have your name on it, and you have to go to your table. You don't just sit anywhere.
Ah.
It has your name, and then you sit at your table, and then they will bring food to you, and then you'll have like your entree, then you'll have your main meal, then you have dessert, and then there'll be like the wedding cake and stuff like that. But then you also like there's also the time where the bride and groom have their first dance together, and every wedding will have different stuff, but those are like the main elements that are in a wedding, and it's so much stuff. It's so complicated. It takes so much time. It costs so much money. I'd rather just save that money and go traveling with my wife after. Like that's more.
True.
That sounds more fun for me.
Interesting. Is that all?
There's actually a lot more stuff, but it really depends on each person. But that's the basics of it, and that takes like, or you start in the morning and you finish like at night, like 10.
But do you guys ever think like, when they marry in the West, like the States, they have friends coming and helping out the 3 or 5?
Like the best man.
Yeah, best man thing.
Oh yes, we do have that.
I think that part is interesting. Oh man, like
I don't actually get what that is actually.
Oh, how about the wedding cakes? Like you mentioned that you guys cut the wedding cake. Is it like huge, like?
I think like it can really be anything, but most people they want to have like the what do you call it, like not layers, like the different levels. So like you want to really have like a tall cake, and it's usually like white and really pretty.
Man,
those are expensive. They cost hundreds.
Man, if you get married, you can just make cake for yourself.
No, why would I do that? That's way too much work, and it's gonna look ugly. Like I can make cakes, but I can't make like wedding cakes. It's like that's another level.
Is it? Oh.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe one day I'll get to that stage.
Yo, old man.
Yeah, but then what if I mess it up? I can't like if the cake company messes it up, I can just sue them. But if I mess up my own cake,
sue yourself.
Sue myself. What am I gonna do? Like I'll just go to like the supermarket and buy like 5 cakes and put them on top of each other.
That might fun. You know the choco pie cake?
No.
With bunch of chocolate.
That's gonna be so bad. No. My wife will divorce me like on the same day.
No.
Like on the wedding day she will divorce me.
No. Man.
Okay, so on a more sad note, like we wanted to also talk about like funerals.
Mm-hmm.
What's the process of a Korean funeral?
Should I tell you about all detailed things? So
just the step by step what happens in a Korean funeral.
So when the person dies, we send the person to a funeral place, and in the funeral place, I believe, I'm not 100%. I'm 100% Korean, but I don't know much about funeral because I've never managed it. But as far as I know, we keep the place there for 3 days, and during the 3 days, people visit. And on the 3rd day, we send the person to the other place. So I will tell you about during the 3 days. No, I will just mention about what happens if I go to a funeral. So I'll go there, and first we gotta prepare a 위조금, which is like showing how I feel bad about this with the money. I'm not sure it's right, but
that's so bad. What if the family's like, you only feel 50,000 won sad?
I mean, it depends on how much you have and like compared to how much you have made. So in the case, similarly, we pay about 50,000 won for each person. Why is this? It's so hard to talk about. Okay, so 50,000 won we put in a box. There is a box too. It's not a wedding box, but it's a funeral box. We put it there. And we go and step in, and we get to say goodbye to the person who died. And to do that, if you're a Christian, if you're Catholic or like a Christian, we usually just pray there. And if you're like the 불교.
Oh, like Buddhist.
Buddhist, or if you don't have a religion or like traditional Korean style, is to 절 twice. 절. How does it 절?
Like bow,
but it's bow, but like
like the
whole body bow.
Like the full bow.
Full bow. We have to do that twice, because doing 1 or more than 3 times is for a person who's living, but for doing that 2 times is for the person who died. So be careful when you do the full bow. I hope it's right.
Don't do it twice for your friends.
And after that, we bow to the person who manages the funeral, because tell them, Joe, I feel thank you, and I feel bad about this, and giving them the energy with that. And then we step outside, and we usually have a place where we can have a meal. And for the meal, we usually have 육개장. It's 육개장. It's like chicken mixed with something spicy.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Yeah, why?
Because I don't like 육개장. So if I eat it, I'll feel more sad.
So we have 육개장, and then we just walk outside, and that's all. Oh, it was pretty tough to talk about this.
Sounds like a big like event, like a big process.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's. I always try it 2 times. I think 2 times.
Yeah, I think no one's gonna need to check. I think. I think for I've only been to one funeral in my life, and for us usually we go. Well, I can't say usually. I went only one time, but from my experience, we go to the funeral home. It's usually in the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's in the cemetery. Yeah, it's in the cemetery, and there's a ceremony there, and usually it's run by the family, and the family will like all the people, the visitors, they will sit there like an audience, and just watching, and then the family will explain about like how the person passed, and also about the life of that person, who they were, and they just kind of say their goodbye and honor the person who passed away. And then usually like the family members will kind of like take turns saying goodbye with the audience watching. And then I think at the end, like you can go to the family members and like wish, like, you know, give them like some like prayers or good wishes or whatever, like just try to like encourage them and stuff before you go home. I don't think we really give anything to them though. I don't think we give money or anything. And if you're not like, so the one funeral I went to was the funeral of my high school art teacher. So I don't know any of his family or anything, and I went there with some of my classmates from high school, and we all went together to pay respects to our old teacher, because he was very influential to me in my life as well. Like he really encouraged me when I didn't feel like I could really do anything, and so I really wanted to be there at that moment. And I think like because I don't really know his family, we just gave like we just shortly said like we shortly like shared our condolences with the family, and they thanked us for coming, and then we left. But I think for like more closer people, they'd stay for a long time and like try to comfort the family and talk with them and stuff. But for like co-workers and ex-students and stuff like that, we aren't as close to the person who passed away, so we go there in support, but we don't spend as much time there as the closer people, I guess. Yeah, but that's like it's really sad thing thinking about funerals. But like hopefully we're not gonna have to experience many of these in our life. Hopefully. It's obviously very different from the way we experience these. There's a lot of big differences in the way our cultures handle things, I guess. But it's really interesting to see the differences as well, and like how, yeah, it's just I find it really interesting, and I really like talking about these kind of subjects. Yeah, so I think for the most part, like that's gonna be it. We're gonna go eat our delivery curry right there. So hungry. It's like 2 hours past lunchtime.
As always.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks again for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.